In our third exercise, we're going to use a reference picture. This could be an actual picture. In this case here, we're just using a line art drawing that's a JPEG image that we want to create a vector image of. The tool that I'll primarily use for this exercise will be the pen tool. In drawing with the pen tool, it will create a series of anchor points where I can click and click. The one thing I want to make sure is that at the end, my starting point and ending point end up together to create a shape. Okay. In order to edit our anchor points as we go through with the pen tool, I'm going to come back to my object and just double click, and I can get my Bezier handles that I can click and drag. I can also click and change where that anchor point is. So if I was not quite there or I missed my point, on corners, it also gives me another point just inside that I can drag to create those rounded edges. Okay, so to begin, let's go over some strategies. One, I want to look at what elements are really connected together. So I've got the top piece, I've got the neck here. The entire body of the guitar is not going to stop here and go down and around, but we're going to have that object continue right in behind the neck, and we'll just have this shape on top. I've got a circle, and then I've got a rectangle-ish shape with a curve on the bottom. So a few strategies. One, if we look at things that are shapes, well, I could use my rectangle shape to create this first shape. I'm just going to pick a bright red. Afterwards, we can select it and modify it. Down in the bottom corner, bottom right-hand corner here, we have our zoom tool. So if you want to zoom in to get a little bit closer. So that lines up pretty good, but I know that it's skinnier at the top and thinner at the bottom. So this is where I can come and double click on my corner and I can slide that in. And same thing on this side. Click and slide that in. Okay, so it's not a perfect rectangle because the length here is less than the length here. The length down here is greater than the length there. To do this top part, and I'm just going to grab this and I'm just going to slide it off to the edge just so that we have our original drawing. One way I could do this is I could use my pen tool and go around the edge. I might be able to use a rectangle and modify the rectangle to do that. It's entirely up to you. You could also do half of the image and then flip it and then combine it. That would be another option. But here, let's just start with the pen tool and how that would go. I'm going to start in the top center. I'm going to click on all of my corner points. And if I want to make sure that I'm going straight across here, if I hold down the Shift key, that'll create a straight line for me. And you can see here, depending on where my cursor goes, I get this extra guideline that aligns me up. You see the blue line that goes across? That's aligning me with my other anchor point, which is super handy. And then I want to make sure that I click right on that dot to close the path. Okay. To get my curved edge there, I can double click on my artwork. If I double click on my anchor point, I get these handles and you're like, whoa, that did a little crazy up there. If I hold down Control and drag it back, I'll get that point, and then I can drag this one here, and if I pull it in, I'll get that nice curve. I'll do the same thing on the other side. I'll double click, Control, and drag down to the point, and then still dragging my Control, holding down my Control key and dragging in to get that shape. Okay. So my neck now, there's a little, I got a large stroke on here, so that's partly the reason. If I go back up to this corner, and I'm going to hold down my Control key, I just don't think I I wasn't close enough on bringing that handle back in. You can see there where it's goofing around on me. Just get it somewhat close there. Click away, and then I can drag and I can drop that on top. Scrolling down, I'll do this bottom part and I'll let you do the big outside. I'm going to start this one with just a rectangle. I'll use my pen tool here and make sure the line's highlighted, and I could drag down. I could pull that back to make it rounded. Another way, I'll go back to my rectangle again. I could pull down just like we did with the other handle, and I'll do it on both sides. Drag this one back in. Oh, click away. Oh, I don't like how that finished out. The other option, again, is I could use my pen tool and click on all these anchor points. If I hold down Shift again, that'll keep that line nice and straight. Nice and straight. Nice and straight. Nice and straight. I basically made my square and then added that center and brought it up. Okay, the guitar, I'll get you started. I'm having fun too. I'm going to start in the middle and I'm going to click and drag, and I know I want to drag my curve to go around, so that'll be a nice circle or a nice curve. Then I'll click again, and then I'll click before the next curve, which comes around to here's the end. Another straight edge, and then we have a nice big smooth curve here all the way down to the bottom. Okay, and we'll do the same thing going up the other side. So I'm going to try to just mirror because of the symmetry on this one here. And you're like, sure, looks nothing like the original. Well, this is where we now come into edit. So we can double click. Click on the anchor point, again, Control, and we want this just to be straight across, but we want this edge here to come out and go around. Okay, this edge here, we can, again, pull this down to keep that side smooth, but this other edge, we want it to curve around. Now you may want to go back and adjust these to make them as smooth as you can. Control, drag it out. Now with this one, I want to do it on both edges. Drag that side a bit, and drag that side a bit. And the rule of thumb is, you want to try to do it with the least number of anchor points. The least number of anchor points will give you the smoothest shape. The body color on this one, we definitely want it to be white, and I'll bring the opacity up to full. And drag that here. These other shapes underneath, I'm going to get rid of that one. This one here, we're going to just center the front, select all of those, and if I right click, align center, the neck here, we want that to be on top of our guitar. And if I just go back to layers, I can see that path is there. The neck has no fill, so we can fill that in with white, so that pops out. Only thing left is the oval in the middle. If I select it all, red, we can make it black. We can make that stroke be whatever we want. I notice up top here we've got a little bit of a gap now. And there you go, a guitar.